dates and stuff for these kids.
I'll look at it.
Yeah, I got 4
Yeah, 'cause
myself, so.
You
There's
know,
like
I
3
have
calendars at
3,
least online.
but,
And make sure your commissioner's calendar's on.
the youngest
I just handed
two,
my phone to the
Play
Yeah,
the
it was here.
Oh, jeez.
We're on?
and
Okay.
I laughed.
Okay,
To me, look.
we'll call this work session to order. What topics do we have today for work session?
Topic is the Dora.
Okay, didn't know what a door was.
Yeah, it was a cartoon when my kid was little.
Amy Explorer, yeah, Amy, you wanna tell us what's up?
So just give you the background on the Dora. Okay, it's a designated outdoor refreshment area. The Dora is basically setting up a boundary within an area. In our case, we're looking at the downtown. And within that area, you have to have a minimum of 4 licensed A or D liquor establishments that are willing to participate. And it is up to the businesses whether they do or do not participate. But it allows you within that boundary to be able to purchase a special cup that has, it has to be clear, it has to have the Dora, it has to have, you know, the instructions on it, you know, what are your rules and regulations, as well as the name of the business on it that is providing. And they are allowed to take that cup out into that open district. So it allows for outdoor seating. I mean, right now, we've got very narrow sidewalks. The businesses that want to be able to put tables and chairs out there are not able to do so because we're required all the fencing if they have alcohol. This allows them to be able to put smaller bistro tables outside, not get into the right of way, and still be able to serve to benefit those customers. It's also there for potentially the East Green concerts. You would be able to purchase a drink and take it over to the concert area and sit and enjoy a concert with potentially a beer. So it's just to kind of bolster the downtown. It allows a little bit of freedom, but there are certain rules and regulations. It's within certain boundaries. You can't exceed the time limits. We're looking at 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., which allows them to serve both lunch and dinner if they so choose. But serving time would end at 10. Again, we're still trying to pull all of this together. We're about to make a presentation to council. Ultimately, the city makes the final decision on whether or not this happens. So we're just trying to pull all of the information together, meet with the businesses, find out if there's interest, talk to the community. So that's kind of where we are.
Well, the paper picked up on it already, Toledo 11, Toledo 13 picked up on it already.
13,
Yeah.
yes, because of press
Yeah, we
release.
gotta
and
call
that.
you.
Yeah, the reason we need to talk about it is because currently the county policy is no alcohol on county property.
Sure.
And we're a significant landholder in that footprint.
Right,
So we have to have a conversation what the county policy's
right.
going to be, and probably want to know whether we're in or out, so.
And I think with that, I mean, ultimately, again, the city would pass or not pass the decision, the ordinance to proceed with this. And then the county can make the decision. If they choose to remove areas, they can put up signage, no door, or no alcohol at this, you know, in this area, or however they want to do it. And I think that, you know, I mean, it's up to you how you handle the county properties.
Right.
And again, whether it goes in or out of any sort of building, again, that is completely up to each individual owner as well. So you could say no alcohol in any county buildings. You can say no alcohol on the grass out front of the Justice Center. You can say no alcohol in the parking. I mean, again, it's up to you how you set up the county property. That is not anybody's but yours.
Yeah,
So
we've kind of already set a precedent. We've had Madison Street Tavern's party in this parking lot a couple of times. I know it's a special permit. Has there been given any thought to a hybrid of this? Maybe a little bit of a trial period, something like, let's say the first Saturday in April, May, June, July, August, September, October, to give it a trial run for 2019. Any discussion about something like that?
well, it hasn't gone to council yet, so there's been no discussion. But what we're proposing is Monday through Saturday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. We had talked about doing it just during the warmer months, but the suggestion was that no, we just do it all year and see if there's interest. Now, it can be on a trial period. City council reserves the right to suspend it any time, or they can, you know, I mean, they can stop it. It cannot like overlap. So if there's something like Heritage Fest going on, Heritage Fest is a separate permitted event. Dora cups cannot go in, and Heritage Fest cups cannot come out. They're very separate events. So city council could say, you know what, we're choosing to suspend it during a certain event, if they have alcohol, they can do that as well. I mean, city council would have complete control over how this thing is put together, so.
Okay, so let's talk from a practical standpoint.
Sure.
I'm gonna go to a concert at the amphitheater, and I stop in Clover Club, and I get one of their cups, and I get a drink,
Yep.
and I walk down to the amphitheater. From a practical standpoint, you would then have, if you wanted another drink, you would have to go back to Clover Club,
You can go to any liquor establishment within the downtown that is
Okay.
participating.
and that same cup.
No.
then
You
you're
cannot
good.
enter an establishment with another establishment's cup.
Okay,
That's state law,
that's state law.
liquor law, yeah.
So you can't get a drink at 138 and go to the Ritz? I thought that was part of the,
The Ritz has their own liquor license. You have to purchase their alcohol.
okay.
You can go from place to place. You just have to toss your cup out before you walk into the next one. It's totally fine, and you can be out and about.
It's kind of like going through TSA, it has to be emptied before you get through.
Put it in the bin.
And like retail businesses, you can choose to be in or out?
They
as
can
far-
choose whether or not they allow somebody in with a cup. That is
Okay.
their decision because it's their business.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's completely up to them how they choose to do it. But again, I think it's more to benefit outdoor seating, amphitheater concerts, those types of things. So,
I think
Well-
additionally, it's good to point out, like situations like the Laird Arcade where there's the brewery there and then there are three businesses within that serve food but don't have a liquor permit. You could take a drink then into any one of those
That's cool.
restaurants.
Yeah.
Well, I think there are certain things that we do in big cities that you would like to emulate, and there are certain things that you don't necessarily want to emulate. I think that it's a great idea. I like the idea of being able to do that on a concert night, some big deal at the Ritz that might be happening. But and I know that there's some pushback about the courthouse because of the situation. You know, those folks are trying to avoid certain substances being consumed on a regular basis, and you know, it would be probably not in their best interest to allow that to happen on the Justice Center property. So, I'm of a mind to think that we ought to, I know City Council has to decide this, but I'm of a mind to think that we ought to give this a trial, some hybrid of it, rather than just calling it, calling it open game shooting. We do it as one weekend a month. I think that it would be more, I think people would receive it better because it's kind of something special as opposed to it being all the time. So if you did it on the night of concerts, let's say, at the amphitheater, I don't know what their schedule is, or if we did it, you know, the first Saturday or the second Saturday of the month, or something along those lines, it would be something special, and maybe more folks would show up for it. It's like anything else. If it happens all the time, it becomes just kind of a routine, whereas if it's a special occasion, you might get a bigger crowd. And that's not to say that that needs to be the way that it is always, but I do think that maybe we ought to kind of walk into this instead of run into it.
Well, the one thing I would like to point out, so far, the change happened in April 2017, where they were finally allowing the communities under 35,000 to participate in the liquor district, which that's when they established the DORA. At this point, there are 11 different communities that have participated, that have implemented the DORA and are using it on a regular basis. And I know Chief Stevens has been doing his due diligence, contacting those communities, contacting the police departments over there. How is it going? Are you seeing any issues? And when we first started out, he was looking at significant increase in police patrols, but based on what he's hearing, he's thinking it'll be more of an as-needed basis because it's going very, very well in other communities. I would suggest Hamilton as an example. They do have their concert series and they have their DORA in place, and there's certain establishments that they can purchase from and they utilize it. So they're having good success. This is their second season using it.
Yeah, so of those 11 communities, 5 of them are county seats. And so I think if we can reach out to those 5 and find out what the counties did as far as policy as it relates to county property, you know, inside, outside, courthouse lawn, all those things. I think that would be informative for us to formulate a policy, because, you know, I could very easily see somebody walking from Madison Street to East Green and cutting across the commissioner's lot, and if county property is out of the DORA, that's a problem. So, you know, we need to be thoughtful in how we would do this. Obviously, inside the buildings seem like a non-starter for me as far as county business goes, but, you know, I'm sure there's some people that would like to drink during commissioners' meetings, but it doesn't open till 11, right?
Most of them. I'd rather drink before.
But that, so I mean, just to be thoughtful about it, if Stacy could reach out to some of those other county seats that have a DORA and see if they addressed it at all. You know, I don't know. The courthouse lawn seems like a public space to me, and the parking lots certainly seem like a public space to me, so.
So
but
if
we'll have to see.
you were king, what would you like to see happen?
I was king.
If you were king, what would you proclaim?
Well, I like the idea of putting it in place and seeing what happens during the first year. Does it benefit the businesses? Does the community respond well to it? Do we see incidents? I would like to implement it for a year and see what happens.
And what is the parameter, what are the physical parameters that you visualize?
The
Downtown.
borders? Okay,
yeah.
so, mostly Washington Street from the bridge down to the Clover Club area.
Okay.
But we are also including, Knights of Columbus and Reno's and the Elks, going up to Rock Creek around the library to include the amphitheater and the East Green, or the East Green and the East Tower. Then coming back down Madison and back to Washington. So we're just snaking around up top just to make sure that we've hit all of the organizations that do have liquor permits.
Okay, how about, we get into the Eagle, how about the Eagle?
Right now, they are not, but we've also not crossed the bridge. So the
Are
other
we
thing I
there?
will say is that this can be changed at any time per city council.
Right.
So, you know, if there's recommendations, I mean, the first recommendation was, let's not go too big. Let's see if we keep it contained, what happens.
Right, I mean, I just
So-
don't want to see any hard feelings here, because if you include one service club out of the path, theoretically, then you've got another one who was similarly close at least to the amphitheater, to the Reds.
It's a walk, though.
It's a walk, but it wouldn't be any more of a walk from the Clover Club to the amphitheater, I don't think, than from the Eagles to the amphitheater. Close. It'd be close, it wouldn't be.
When do you need to know if we want to be in or out, or what our policy is going to be? Do you have a timeline on?
Well, at this
percent?
point, my goal is I haven't presented this to city council yet.
Right.
They're not aware of this yet, so that's not till Monday.
Okay.
So, it'll have to be after that.
We're aware of it.
Okay. Yeah, after that, and then, I would say if they choose that, I mean, after that, it'll go to, I believe it'll go to committee of the whole meeting. And then at that point, it would be a recommendation then to go, whether or not it would be recommended to go to council for readings. So somewhere before, I would say, it got to the first reading, if that's what happens.
We should have our policy in place. So
I probably think
we
we'd want to have an idea of what it is you want to do. I mean, you can finalize that as we go, but if you, yeah, because at that point, we'll have the boundaries set. I guess here's the thing I would suggest. The boundaries are going to be the boundaries that city council is going to approve. If the county chooses to eliminate certain properties, the county can put up a sign saying no alcohol on the green, or no alcohol in the parking lot. And I would think that that would then take care of making sure that the county properties are covered. You've put up a sign, you've said, you know, we do not want this here, it is, you know, I would think that would cover it. Whether or not council approves the district, I would certainly think you can,
So
sign
currently, you're
home
proposing
areas.
all county properties will be in the district.
I'm not, I'm not taking anything out
mean,
or putting
downtown
anything
properties.
in. I'm just simply saying, here's the boundaries of what we're looking at, and then county can make the decision about whether or not they want to do signage to say no alcohol here.
Yeah, I
So the
can't-
question are all the downtown county properties in the district?
As of now, yes.
But also, every establishment within the downtown is in the district. So say Simply Susan's doesn't want anyone coming in with alcohol, they would also have to post it. It's not that the property gets removed because it says it's up to the individual businesses or property owners to post whether or not they will allow it on their property.
And what is the consequence if you venture off of out of the district?
Well, then you're out of compliance, so
It's
you
an
can be
open
ticketed,
The
yeah.
police will handle it from there?
So,
But if somebody walks across our parking lot with a glass, they're subject to being
Yeah.
ticketed.
Yeah.
Okay.
but I can't imagine that the alleys, rather than the parking lot, would, I mean, I can't imagine a situation where the city owns the alleys. If you're walking down an alley next to a parking lot, I can't possibly imagine why you would need to venture into that. I mean, except maybe for a shortcut. But I'm trying to think of all the areas that, you know, this lot, we have the alley to the west, that people would walk from Madison to the Green or around the block. Anywhere coming from the south side of town, you'd have the street and the alleys to walk through.
The streets, yes, the alleys, the police department would like us to not include alleys except for Cherry Alley at this time.
Well, you know that people are gonna walk down alleys. I mean, if
They're
you're coming
trying
from
to-
the Clover Club going to a concert, or if you're coming from Madison going to a concert, you're gonna walk
Well,
down
so the way the district is set up right now, Madison Street to Jefferson is included, but it's only Washington Street. So you can't walk down Jefferson Street with, so that, I mean, that would be a boundary sign, that you
Okay,
hit
so
the
you're-
boundary of the
Okay,
Dora.
so rather than somebody walking from Madison Street down to the amphitheater, they would need to go down Washington Street and then down Market?
No, from Madison Street's included in the
Okay.
Dora. So it goes from
Well, Jefferson
Washington
Street isn't.
over to
Yes,
Madison.
a piece of Jefferson is
Oh, a
included
piece
to
of-
get
Yeah,
you to
yeah. I
the
thought you
said
screen,
Jefferson.
yes.
From Madison up
Okay.
to
All right.
Market, yes.
Okay, I guess.
Actually, up to Perry.
We're probably getting too far into the weeds here, but, okay. So you're gonna present it to council on Monday, and they're gonna say yay or nay, or?
They're
set-
probably gonna say they want a committee of the whole meeting.
Okay, and then we have to decide if they approve whether we'll allow it on our properties. Okay, well, that's simple enough, I suppose. All right, yes, I'm sorry, yes.
I just would like to know how would we handle the consequences if they walked into a county building, let's just say into
Oh,
our
we just said that, they'd be
offices?
subject to open container,
Would it,
Yeah.
same thing?
It'd
Yeah.
be just like if they did it today.
yeah,
Yeah.
Just double checking, because I
Yeah.
know some people would probably like that answer.
yeah, and I mean, I was gonna say, you know, what happens if they carry a little bottle with them, but I guess that would be the same thing if they did that now.
Right, you can walk into
Yeah.
Simply Susan's right now with a beer as long as it's not open. The minute you walk in, if you open it, it's private property. You can sit
Yeah.
there and drink a beer unless they kick you out. That's today.
Tom, you've been around long enough, what do you think?
I think it's gonna raise taxes.
What?
I think the taxes will go up
Because,
because of security.
Well, the one thing I will
It's gonna take more
say,
security, a lot more security. And I think you're helping the drugs by doing this.
so the one thing I will say is that all establishments that do carry a liquor permit are held to the state standards. They are still only allowed to sell one beer at a time. They are still only allowed to sell people that are not visibly intoxicated. And each of those liquor establishments carries their insurance that covers them. They are liable. Their logo is on that cup. So each establishment is the one that is responsible for the beer or alcohol that they sell. And according to what we've discussed with other communities, the change in insurance, if any, is minimal at best, because they're still held to the same standards they were held to before. So,
Good. Well, we've got some runway. We'll find out what other counties have done and if they have had any problems. Appreciate it.
any other comments from anybody?
Just to rewind on something Commissioner Thomas had said, he said if somebody was to take a glass from one spot to another, it'll all be plastic cups, so.
yes,
Just
required.
want to put your mind at ease there, won't be a bunch of broken glass anyway.
Okay. All right, any other topics for work session here?
Did we get the parking resolved for Judge Meyer? Did John work on that?
For whom?
Judge Meyer?
I'm gonna meet with Judge Meyer after a meeting today, so I'll talk about it. I think that You know, thinking all this parking through, and I know you guys have a meeting today at 3 o'clock, but I think the Parking Committee, at least when I participated in it, you know, wanted to make certain that we kept so many designated spots at the RTA open for the public. Hopefully that remains the same. Talking to some of the folks that actually work for the judge, their spots that they use now are actually closer to where they're gonna be than anything else we might designate. So I don't think that anybody is real concerned, and we're gonna have some spots next to Carnegie until the Carnegie is sold that won't be used because the judge will be parking behind the annex at this point.
Yeah.
So we've got 3 or 4 spots there. I think that people are creatures of habit. They're probably gonna park where they park now, at least the employees do. There's like 4 more steps.
Yeah,
20
yeah, the standing decision is that we'll put them into the existing lots, so that's where we're at.
Well, as I said.
And has he talked to, about getting the bike rack in with the annex? We need to get that rolling as well. So we need to coordinate that with leadership Seneca County.
Whenever
Because they're done moving.
they're done moving, we can get that sidewalk taken out and get that bike rack put up, hopefully before we get any bad weather, hopefully soon. They should be finalized by, I think they were switching the phones over like on the 22nd of October.
Yeah.
So they're gonna be moving in like the week of the 15th, and then phones are getting switched over on the 22nd.
So they'll go live there on the 22nd.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so-
I just hope we don't take any more spots from the RTA, because the original thought from the parking committee, at least as I sat on it, was to leave as many of those spots open to the public as possible. And that lot does seem to be filled up by public parking on more times than not, so.
Yeah. At this point, we've provided parking to the city employees, and we've got a commitment out to provide some parking to Judge Meyer's staff, so and that's.
So I think in reality, we are providing parking to them. They've already got the spaces that they're using. I don't see any reason that they would change that. Anything that we can do would certainly wouldn't be any closer, and in many cases further away. Yes.
I just wanted to make sure to mention, whatever bike rack you're putting in, just make sure it's one of the approved bike racks by the Architectural Board of Review.
It's in the back, you can take a look.
It's the leadership Seneca County bike rack.
Is it one of the bikes? Okay,
It's the one, yeah.
okay.
Yeah, nobody's used it back here so far. It's inside. Okay, any other topics for work session? We got 7 minutes. All right, let's adjourn until 10 o'clock.